Let me do it again. There we go. Do you want me to start? Wait for, I don't know if we have some participants that already hopped on. Do you want me to wait for a little bit? Hi, everyone.
Yes, you're welcome to start anytime.
Okay.
You want to wait a little bit? I know it's.
Yeah. I see Trisha. Hi, Trisha. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Every time we do a virtual event, summit, I love for it. I ask a lot of questions, so I'd love for it to be interactive. Morning. Hi. Where are you tuning in from? Just let me know in the chat. And also for those watching the replay on YouTube, definitely comment, on this video and let me know what you think, because I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. All right. So I'm just going to start. I see Cam just got on. Let us know where you're from. The chat is interactive, so I'd love to hear from where everyone's from. Good morning, good afternoon. All right. So today I'm going to be talking about pivoting your business during times of crisis. I think especially where we are all in the world, it is a very unprecedented time, right? Joining from Chicago, awesome. Welcome, welcome. So it is a very unprecedented time. It's like a mix of like natural disaster, like a world pandemic, sort of in a state of emergency. It is a state of emergency, but also everything happening at the same time. And now like everyone in the world is going through it. And this is something that we haven't, at least in my lifetime, I haven't experienced, but we've had so many of our, yes, it is a state of emergency. So many of our ancestors have gone through this, right? And so during these times is really when you have to learn how to pivot. And pivot is moving and adjusting. And as you know, during times like this in crisis, it's really when you can either at the end of it, just like the crash in 2008, there was lots of businesses who went down. There's also a lot of businesses that went up, as well as new businesses, new things that came up from it. So in times like this, when you are quick to pivot, you're able to adapt to what's going on. So in this workshop, you'll learn the following things: why challenging times can often bear fruit to new opportunities and possibilities, how to adopt a mindset that is resilient during times of crisis. And this is something I call under the 3 mindsets: victim, survivor, and thriver. This is a way of thinking, a way of being. I'll also cover how to pivot into one specific industry that could truly grow and save your business right now. And we'll go through ideas about that. Creating new revenue streams. And lastly, how to tap into the power of collaboration and community. All right, let me know in the chat below. Are you all ready for this workshop? Be ready to take notes, because when you take notes, more than just actually listening, when you take notes, the information gets integrated a lot better into your system than just listening or just watching. So taking notes adds another layer of really putting those, instead of just hearing it and seeing it, you're also writing it down. So you're putting action towards it. So this will really, really help you. So I encourage you to really pay attention and to take notes, to listen, to ask questions. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Trisha. So before I start, I want to introduce myself a little bit, because you're like, who are you? If you've never known me, seen me, I spoke at Entrepreneurship Summit in LA, was the opening speaker, but I grew up in LA, based in Miami right now, and the founder of Thriver Lifestyle. And we'll actually get into this in the mindset stuff, why it's called Thriver Lifestyle. It's from my own journey going from victim, survivor, and thriver. I'm a TEDx and Keynote Speaker, a business coach that really helps entrepreneurial women. I helped co-author a book called Unleash Your Voice, Powerful Public Speaking for Women Everywhere. I'm involved in a lot of nonprofits, especially Asian nonprofits. I'm on the board of Project by Project, which is all about Asian American leadership development. And I have a podcast called Thriver Lifestyle and Thriver TV on YouTube. I'm also a certified pranayama and meditation teacher. And I believe that in times like this, actually having both strategy and soul, and this is something that I teach, having strategy, because all the things that you need to do, getting results, what are the tactics, but also the soul work, you know, the inner thoughts, the mindset, and this, you need to have both together to really overcome and be resilient and really tap into who you are. So when I talk about pivots, I'm very, very familiar with pivots. And I'm sorry if my cat keeps jumping. They're my coworkers, my colleagues. I've pivoted a lot in my own career, personally and professionally. And oftentimes when we think of pivot, human nature is oftentimes resistant to change, right? We get stuck in our comfort, in our ways, and what we like to do. And so for the longest time, I was always in marketing. At one point, for those who are in LA or know, I was actually the marketing director for Seafood City, Filipino grocery store based in California, but I know they have supermarkets in a lot of different states. And I was a food blogger, worked with restaurants and chefs, and had my own marketing agency catering to that. So corporate marketing is all I knew. And then through a series of personal events, I actually pivoted, and it was something that had to happen. And so I moved from LA to Miami, where it was all new, everything was different. And I had to pivot again because I had to adjust, you know, so I had to figure out what do I need right now? What do I need to do? And tapping into that thriver mindset, which I'll go into, because that's when we really discover possibilities. And when I pivoted, I was like, okay, maybe the marketing was great. I was doing some freelancing stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm really interested in learning more about real estate and how to, you know, get into the market here. Like Miami is so amazing and diverse, and I really wanted to know about the city, and real estate is a great way to know like what's going on even before the general public knows it, because you know about buildings and things that are happening. And so I got into real estate. I did that pivot. Because of my marketing background, I was able to market myself very well, position myself to it. And in 2 years, I was already making 6 figures. And then I realized that I didn't want to be stuck in one place. For me, I wanted location freedom in my career. And so through a series of events, also personal, which I was going through of my own sort of awakening and journey, I realized that I wanted something more fulfilling, and I also wanted freedom where I can work from anywhere. With real estate, I had some flexibility, but I still knew that I had to stay in Miami. You know, even if I traveled, I had to come back and do all these things. And so I shifted into coaching. And first I was a transformation coach because I had helped myself go through a lot of healing and trauma and transform my life, and helping others do the same, transforming their trauma into triumph. And through this pivot, there was a lot of growing pains and a lot of self-reflection. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about, and why in pivoting, we need to realize and adopt a certain mindset. And from there, it's grown. And now as a business coach, doing strategy and soul, a lot of my clients who are transformation clients realized that, okay, they had done the healing, they'd done the work. Now they actually wanted to share their knowledge, their expertise, their stories, their amazing stories, but they didn't know how. They didn't know how to position themselves. So I found myself integrating all of my marketing, business development, expertise and background and business background into what I do now. And that's really helping entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, grow their business and brand through public speaking and through content creation, both online and offline. So pivoting is so important. And oftentimes we're taught not to change, right? Especially as Filipinos. I forgot the slide. I end up doing a TEDx talk, and now really sharing how to share my story and helping others share their own story. And so as Filipinos, we're taught like you kind of do one thing and you stay with it, right? And we're taught that pivoting isn't always like, it's not a good thing. Change isn't good. You want to go with what's stable. I heard that all the time. My mom is a nurse, my dad's an engineer. My mom has worked in Kaiser, still is there. It's like, I think she celebrated 30 years, maybe 35. And so stability is good, change is good. And it may work for some industries, right? Like those who are in healthcare right now are working more hours. But in other industries, we have to really learn how to pivot in order to stay afloat or to figure out how we can change in order to survive and as well thrive. So this quote by J.K. Rowling is something that's always stuck with me because I have hit rock bottom so many times in my life, and so have my past clients and students. And she says, rock bottom became a solid foundation in which I rebuilt my life. And I don't know if you know the story of J.K. Rowling. Who's heard this quote? Yes. Who've heard this quote is that like she was at one point on welfare, which she calls benefits. And she was divorced, a single mother. She got rejected over a dozen times for the first manuscript of Harry Potter. But it was at her lowest point where she realized there's nowhere to go from here. And I've been there too, from depression and suicide to overdose. I had to hit rock bottom and figure out how to get my way up. And oftentimes, especially right now, where this is what's happening with coronavirus has really kind of, for people who were unprepared, and most of us were unprepared for this, like we're like struggling on what to do, what to say. Luckily, you know, we can tap into resources like this from Anna Marie and from other people who've put amazing virtual events together so that we can tap into each other's resources and knowledge to get through it. And so remember this, rock bottom oftentimes is where you can, stripped away from everything and all the distraction, you can actually focus on what you need to do next. So the only things you can actually control, you know, as there's a lot of things that happen, you know, in our lives, in our world and everything, but there's a lot of things out of our control. But the only things you can control are your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your perspective. That's really on how you view things, on the lens which you view your reality. You can see this as, you know, something that's the worst that can happen, or oftentimes in hindsight, we say, oh my gosh, that was a blessing in disguise, right? We hear that all the time. I know in 2008, I had a lot of friends who lost real estate and jobs and all that, their 9 to 5, start having the time to actually dive into the things that light them up, you know, that side business, you know, that creative outlet. And now it's become something that they're doing. I had a friend who, she's now a baker, but before she was working 9 to 5, that was stressing her out, and she got laid off basically. And she thought it was devastating. And before, she was actually baking a lot in her, like baking with her colleagues, and every time there was a birthday, they'd order from her, and she loved it. That was her stress reliever. And so when she got laid off, she's like, what am I going to do? I'm like, you love baking. Why don't you just continue baking? She's like, I don't know if people are going to like it. I mean, people already love it. And now she caters and does baking, and she's actually here in Miami, and she loves it. But if she never hit that rock bottom, if she didn't lose that safety net, she would have never gone into the thing that lights up the most. Right? So I know this is sometimes easier said than done, but it is a habit that we can actually control. So if we linger in the thoughts, the words, the actions, the perspectives of, you know, everything is going wrong, nothing's going right, that's what's going to perpetuate. So I'm going to talk about the 3 mindsets. It's victim mindset, survivor, and then thriver. And I'll give you some examples, right? And this is not to minimize whatever is happening to many people. There's a lot of people without jobs. There's a lot of people who are in dire straits. I completely understand it. I have been there. And I actually have a toilet paper story, but not a recent toilet paper story. I have a toilet paper story from when I first moved to Miami. I'd gone through all my savings. I wasn't happy, and there was a lot of like personal things. I was still battling my own demons. Didn't really like, I was going to go into marketing. I had a job offer, but I didn't want to go back into that 9-to-5 because my last one was just so toxic. And so I was just doing freelance gigs. And I realized I was like, I didn't have money to buy toilet paper. So I went to a free happy hour at a bar in Brickell, which is in like the downtown Miami area. And in their bathroom, they actually had like the toilet paper, but like the rolls of unused toilet paper that if it ran out, you could replace it yourself. And I took 2 rolls of toilet paper because I couldn't afford it. So I have been there. Like, I'm not proud of it, but I'm telling you now, like I've been to the point of like not being able to do that, you know? And so that's my toilet paper story. And I realized from there that I was willing to do whatever it took to open my mind to what I needed to do in order to survive, right? I had to think outside the box. And from there, when I actually realized like, what skills do I have? And I used to bartend in college. I was in the restaurant industry. And for a long time, I didn't want to do it because I was like, I was a marketing director. I had my own company. I'm not going to be another bartender or waitress. This was my ego talking. And I realized I had to swallow that pride and I had to, you know, do what I needed to do to make money and survive. And so I ended up applying and getting a job as a cocktail waitress at this new lounge that opened, and met some amazing people there, made some money. And I knew that it wasn't permanent. It was temporary to get me through this time because I was building my network, building all these things. I was also starting a new marketing company, but I had to meet more people because it's all about relationships. And when I left that, come full circle, after me and my partner started our marketing agency, that hotel actually became one of my first marketing clients when I had that digital marketing agency, and from the relationship I made working as a cocktail waitress there. But because I let go of that victim mindset, of that ego, that pride, and was able to think outside the box and be like, you know what, there's no shame in being like, to go bartend again or to become a waitress again. You know, I had to do what I needed to do and then, you know, make the most of it. And so this is what I mean by victims, a mindset, survivor, and thriver. So when you're in victim mindset, and we all fall prey to this, you know, when things happen, when things trigger us, is when you take the power from yourself and give it to someone else, to something or someone outside of you, right? Like, why does this always happen to me? The worst always happens to me. Nothing ever goes right. I have no power. I have no control. And you give your power away. When you're in survivor mindset, which I was for a long time, and I thought I was at the peak, right? You know, I had done all the things to achieve a lot of money, but I had closed a lot of people off. Survivor mindset is really one of like, oh, it's me against you. You know, I could do this all on my own. I don't need help. I don't need you. I need, like, I got this. You know, it was about being I had been hurt so many times, and, you know, I was like, nope, I can do this all on my own. So you become a survivor, you know, where your resources, instead of opening up and trying to help others and being collaborative, everyone's a competitor, and you put your walls up, right? And that's not sustainable. And then the last mindset is really where we need to put our effort in shifting our perspective to. And a thriver mindset doesn't minimize what's going on, but instead sees it from a different perspective. These challenges, all the things that keep coming, you know, these hardships, what can I learn from it? What's the lesson in this? What can I do right now to make a change, to do something different? How can I think differently? How can I act differently? How can I speak differently? How can I see this in a different light? And once we start asking these questions about thinking more abundantly and more collaboratively, what can I do to help the collective? How can I partner with someone? What can I do? You know, and really expanding your thought, that's when new ideas come from. Albert Einstein has said, you can't find a solution to a problem in the same frequency or vibration that you have the problem in. You have to go into a different mindset in order to come up with different solutions. So there's 4 pillars of a thriver mindset: consciousness, collaboration, community, and celebration. I'm going to touch on this very quickly and then go into really the tactical things, because I know that's what you really want to see. But this is so important to really have this foundation. Because if you stay in victim mindset or survivor and you're trying to figure out things, you'll be caught sort of in a circle and you really won't think expansively. You'll be coming from a place of fear and not enough. Whereas when you come from a thriver mindset, you're able to think more creatively. And you'll start thinking of things that you've never thought before or considered before, which in a time like this, in order to pivot, you need to be creative, you need to take risks, and you need to think outside the box. So consciousness, and what I mean by 4 pillars of a thriver mindset, these are things that you need to really integrate into your life in order to consistently stay within this type of mindset. Consciousness is doing things that really help you expand your mind, your mind. From whatever practices you have. It could be journaling, meditation, breath work. It could be dancing. It could be going in nature. It could be reading, cooking. It could be doing art, creating something. It's where it takes you outside. It's when you get into a state of flow and you feel good and you're not trapped in this the vibration of anxiety and sadness and what keeps you thinking small. When you open up and expand your consciousness, new ideas can come. So especially in this time and place right now, if you find yourself, going down that rabbit hole, and that's normal that happens, we watch too much news, and it's like all these negative things that are happening and we go down a spiral. You got to do something that expands your consciousness. So whatever works for you. All right. So to think of 3 things that are going to help you. So this is your first takeaway. And I'd love for you to share what are 1 to 2 things that you can do that kind of takes you away from that mindset and shifts your state of being. This is what Tony Robbins calls shifting your current state. Dance. Awesome. Yes. Dancing is so important. It helps remove a lot of blocks, right? And then collaboration. Who can you work with? Who complements you? Who are you able to work with so that you can figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are in these times? You can't be everyone on everything for yourself. There's always something that you need. So who can you work with so you can complement each other? There was actually a story that I read yesterday, an amazing story here in Miami, where this restaurant group that had to let go of some of their workers, worked with the local grocery stores because they're so inundated. Be like, hey, at this time, I have all these employees that were closed and I can't give them work. Do you need extra people working at the grocery store to help you? And so now they've actually employed some of those people so that their workers aren't working 12, 14 hours, getting sick, and now they're able to collaborate. Isn't that so beautiful? Think about that. Think of these things. Community. You don't have to go through this alone. Social distancing does not mean social isolation. It's actually now more than ever, we need to tap into community, because it's in communities where we can put our collective ideas together and come up with amazing things that maybe you and I would have not thought of on our own. So this is the time to tap into communities, online communities. There's lots of virtual events going on. There's lots of resources, lots of communities, tap into that. And then lastly, celebration. Make sure that you celebrate. There's so many things that we can be grateful for and celebrate. The fact that we're alive. And you know what? Because you're on this call, I know that you are all thrivers, because you are on a virtual call on a Sunday. And for some of you early in the morning in LA, but you're here. That means that you are a thriver, that you are doing something, taking control of your life, your thoughts, and what you're doing. And that is beautiful. And the more that you set this example for yourself and for others in your life, that creates a positive ripple effect. So I'm giving you all so much props and good vibes. You guys are amazing, amazing. All right. So now that we have the mindset done, because that is super, super important. Yes, go Rose. Because before I teach any tactical things, strategies, we need to get your mind right. That's why I always start with mindset. All right. So now pivoting your business. Now that we're in the right sort of frame of mind and we're expansive and we're thinking how to be, in the thriver mindset, now let's get to it. So pivoting your business, there's 3 things you really need to think about. That's audit, ask, and agile. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into this. So AAA, think about it as AAA, the ones who come and save you when your car gets pulled over on the side of the road. AAA, audit, ask, agile. So first, audit your current client and customers. Because who they were before the crisis can be different now, like during the crisis. So who's ever done an avatar exercise? This is a marketing exercise. Who's ever done this for their target clients? Yes, awesome, yes. So this is important, right? You need to do this to really figure out who you're trying to serve. Who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal customer? So if you've already done this, you need to redo it because a lot of things can change after something like this happens. A lot of people, most people should be already at home, self-quarantine, right? So ask yourself, like, what are their needs? And for those who've never done an avatar exercise, this is a really quick marketing exercise where you really think about that your ideal client, what's their, give a name to them, an age, location, background, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, who are they? It could be also a business. If you're a B2B, what type of company, how old are they? What's their industry? What's their niche? Think about that, and then go deeper. What are their problems and challenges? What are their goals? What solutions can you provide them with? And remember, what the problems and challenges and goals are now are different if you already did this exercise, has changed. So for example, if you were targeting executive mothers before, executive women, who are at their job and in their offices, a lot of that's changed now. Now they're at home and they're trying to work and they have children at home too. Their children getting homeschooled. There's a new set of problems, new set of goals that they need. So you need to adjust to that. So you need to audit your current clients and customers. What do they need now in this time of crisis? What solutions can you help them with? Where do they go to find answers to their problems? And what are they spending their money on? So people are thinking, yes, there's people who may be spending less, but money is still being circulated. Their Amazon stock has gone through the roof. So has Zoom. So has so many other services in this time right now, grocery chains. So it's not saying that everyone is tanking. Yes, there are many different industries, but people just are shifting where they're putting their money. All right. So they're still spending their money, but you have to figure out what it is. So think about your target and your ideal clients and customers. What are they spending their money on now? How are they spending that money? What are their needs? What do they need right now in this time of crisis? And then you have to audit your own business. What do you currently offer? So think about all the things you've had to offer, but what's relevant and what's not anymore. Ask yourself, how can you change it to fit what is needed now? Since a lot of businesses are closing in terms of they can't have people, how have they pivoted? So for example, restaurants, they can't have people going in, so all are going towards, there's a restaurant in LA called Tessa. So what they've done is because they can't have people in, not only have their takeout and delivery increase, but what they decided to do is I think they started creating meal prep boxes and delivery. So they weren't offering that before, but they also started doing kind of like a mini market because they had all these supplies that they're able to get from their suppliers that, let's say, they have different relationships with their distributors. And, what they can't buy in the grocery stores because all the shelves are empty, they get that, for a distributor price. And so they're offering kind of instead of going to the grocery store, they had alternatives for food and fresh produce there. So kind of like a mini market and then that delivery option like meals. That's something that they didn't do before, but they had to pivot in order to realize what their customers needed. So what can you do to change and fit what is needed now? And then what alternative creative avenues can you explore that you may not have explored before? And lastly, ask yourself, what other skills, experiences, products, services do you have that is needed right now? And it doesn't have to be connected to your current business. All right, you have a skill, there is something that you know or that you've done and have experience in that people need right now, that they never needed before. And one of the things I can give an example of, so my team and I have been working remotely. Like, working from home is nothing new to me. Working remotely, my team is based in the Philippines. Like, we've always just been using Zoom. This is nothing new, but there's a lot of people. I just had a happy hour call, a virtual happy hour call with my friends last night, and several were like, what is Zoom? How do you use this thing? Couldn't be. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, for me, it was like, this is easy. Everyone uses this. But you don't realize that something that you're already doing or using, that there's actually people out there that have no clue, right? So think about that. What other skills do you have? What experiences? I'd love for you to share in the chat. Is there something that you just thought of right now that you think is so easy, but actually is not for other people? And this is especially for like my starting entrepreneurs or those who have a side hustle. Think about that. There's something that you know that you may have not used yet in your current business, but actually is helpful right now, especially online. We're so used to doing things online because that's that's what we do. There's so many people who have never really done any work online, right? Think about the generational gap. Oops, okay. Let's see. Setting up B2B guided meditations. Yes, so needed, right? There's people right now more than ever, people need to meditate to help reduce stress. Launching webinars, email funnels, awesome. Yes, yes. Carissa, I feel you. Same here. Like, you realize that it's so easy to you, but for other people, they don't. And now that they've had to change working remotely, they have to use all these virtual tools that they've never really used before. So the second A is ask, all right? Ask yourself hard questions. Ask yourself and really be honest with yourself. Maybe it's, at this time, in order to currently survive, maybe you have to put a pause in your business, close it, make some adjustments, lay some people off. These are difficult questions. In order to, and knowing that maybe once you get back on your feet after everything is done, you can hire more people. Like, ask yourself what you need to do. I know it's difficult right now, but ask yourself these questions. Ask your team questions as well as ask your team what they think, because this is a time now that oftentimes we get stuck, especially as business owners or entrepreneurs, into like what we need. Other people have different perspectives that we don't have. So ask your team, what do they need? What ideas do you have? Get the power of the collective. How can we transition and pivot our business? Like, what new ideas do you have to change this? There was an article that I wrote of a chef because a restaurant closed, and I'm using a lot of restaurant because there's a lot of restaurant closed, and on my feed on Facebook, because I come from like the restaurant and food industry, I see a lot of that. He started offering like live cooking shows and was asking for donations, so they could help, pay for the team. Something they haven't done before, but because there's a lot of people right now who've never cooked or probably didn't even cook before and don't know what to do, right? So this is a service that would help them, and they get to have live time with their favorite chef that they probably never would have known how to, or have this experience to cook side by side with, the chef that they love. So many different ideas. And then ask your clients and customers. You can think, what do they need? But oftentimes it's easier to ask them. Put a poll online, ask, through email, ask them, like, what do you need? How can we best serve you in this time right now? And lastly, ask your community. Communities like this, ask for feedback, ask for suggestions. Always ask, because remember, you don't need to do this on your own. we're in this together. And the more that we actually stick together and we help each other out, the more equipped we can be coming out of this. We have more chances of surviving and thriving instead of just surviving throughout these times of crisis. The last A is agile. That means to be quick and efficient. And in times like this, you need to be able to move quickly, because this is a time where especially people need results now. For example, if someone doesn't know where to get, this one product or food, they're not going to wait until that food's available. They're going to try to see where else they can find it, right? Or if there's a service, for example, I actually, this woman who works at I follow her, works at the nail salon that I do. She started offering one-on-one like FaceTime on how to properly like do your nails. For someone like me, that's so needed. To be honest, I haven't done, and I know this may sound really privileged, but I haven't done my own nails in 20 years. And I'm a little bit like panicked because I'm like, it's like, girl, I don't know how to do this. I'm just probably going to cut it all down. Like I haven't done my own nails. I've always just gone to a nail salon, and so she started offering like, hey, since we can't work right now, Venmo me like this amount, and then I can like have a one-on-one with you and kind of like going through like what you need to do next, especially how to put gel, all that stuff. That's amazing. That's something she didn't offer before, but she thought differently, right? So, but be ready to test and pivot quickly, because you need to like move to see what's working and what's not. So test something out, it's not working, no one's responding to it, move to something else, and really get that feedback. Ask for feedback from your clients and your customers. Next, be open to change. This goes with testing and pivoting. Just because you're like, oh, I tried this. I'm like, okay, sometimes you have to try 3 things, 4 things, 5 before you find that 5th one that actually works. Be willing to test and pivot and change. Be willing to try new and different things that may seem like, oh my God, I've never done this before, or maybe I'm scared to. Maybe you're like, I have never done a live and I'm nervous as shit because I've never done a webinar or never have done a live session and people are going to see the real me. Like, be ready to try new things. We are at a time that if you really want to come out this on the other side, doing well and really pivoting your business to trying new things. All right. So anyone have any ideas now that hopefully the ideas are churning? What are some new things that you can test and pivot and try? Because this is something that I want you to do like literally after this call, to write down ideas and write down all the things that you can test and pivot. So I'm going to talk about one industry that is absolutely probably a game changer and what's going to save a lot of people's businesses. And that is the e-learning online education market. And as you know, now schools, and this is something actually that people before have said, oh, it's too difficult to, a lot of old systems have said doing something like this, like corporations and universities and schools, to have online education possible. They're like, oh, that's impossible. There's too many things, hoops to go through. Not everyone can do that. But now that we've come into this time where it's a state of emergency, all of a sudden, a lot of things that weren't possible before are possible. So e-learning and online education used to be a 190 billion industry in 2018 and was projected to grow to 325 billion in 2025. And now these are numbers before this whole crisis. So I'm actually it's going to be way more than this, because we have accelerated the growth to e-learning and online education. And there is a way for so many different industries to go into the space. And maybe you haven't thought about this, but I have seen so many so many different skills that I thought you couldn't teach online, but people are teaching. And it's amazing. And with online education and e-learning, this is really a way for you also to create passive income, to share your knowledge, to share something that you know to others who want to learn what you know. So when I talk about e-learning and online education, it's not just universities and schools. And I'm going to go through a slide. There's actually so many different ways that you can do it. It's not just formal education. It's a lot of digital courses. It's a lot of alternative education. People just want to learn. You know, they want to learn how to do things. The number one thing searched on the top 2 search engines, which is Google and YouTube is owned by Google, are how-tos. How to what? How to something. You know, the book series, Something Like for Dummies, those are how-to books. And those have like been bestsellers because people want to learn how to do something, right? How to something. And there's something that you can teach others that is happening in your business, and you can create a how-to. Just like this webinar is an example. This is educational. You know, this is part of that online learning, e-learning educational market. And the reason why this is also so important, because now all facets of people's lives have gone online because of social distancing. Now we're relying on online to keep us connected, to, you know, for entertainment, for everything. And this is a great way, because how to position this is, you know, yes, there may be people who are going to binge watch on Netflix and Hulu and all these shows for the entire time that they're in quarantine. But there's also many people who are using this time, and this is an excellent time for people to actually upskill, to learn something new, to build something, to teach something, to learn, so that when they come out of this, they actually are able to apply to better jobs, ask for a raise, launch an online business, whatever it is, launch a new product, because they use that time wisely. Let me tell you, the best investment is investing in yourself. That's why e-learning and online education is just only going to get bigger. You know, people all over the world need this, and education is the one thing that can truly help move the needle forward. So I feel so strongly about this market, and this is why there's many ways that you can actually pivot. And at the end of this, I'm going to do a Q&A section where, if you're still struggling to figure out what type of e-learning offering you can have, we can kind of workshop through it. So I can give you some ideas. So online opportunities. There's digital courses. And digital courses is, it could be a video course, it could be a mini course, it could be a long one. I've done something like a 4, you know, video digital course, and I've created my Conscious Public Speaker course. It's 8 modules. It's a bigger course. And it's filled with like worksheets and, you know, PowerPoint and all these things, in a community. You can create a digital course. Maybe it's in a course on meditation. There was someone that talked about meditation. There's online coaching programs. So I think people now, there's a lot of also information overwhelm. And oftentimes there's people who are like, I don't want to do all this research. I just want someone to tell me, like, what should I do now? And I need coaching. I need that accountability. So there's online coaching. There's ebooks, and Amazon's book sales and audiobooks have like skyrocketed because so many people want to read and they want to learn new things. Ebooks is a great way to put your skills out there. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, people are always going to be willing to learn. Like maybe how to cook, there's cookbooks, you know, out there. There's how to cut your own hair. There's plumbing. There's just so many things that people want to learn about to do themselves, because now they can't always call someone. So a lot of people are learning how to do things on their own. There's virtual events, summits, webinars, masterclasses. You can do videos. There are live videos, paid videos, and Vimeo. You can do paid videos over there. You can do donation-based live streaming. And then there's membership sites. A lot of membership sites are doing really well. An example of a common membership site is Netflix or Spotify. You can have your own membership site as well, helping people and building a community, teaching what you know. So if none of these appeal to you, and which is fine, I have some other alternatives that maybe not connected to your business, But similar to my story of going back into bartending, sometimes we have to say, you know what, at this time, I need to make supplemental income in order to support my business so that it'll survive until the end of this. And it may not be related to your current business right now or your current job. So I wanted to share a list of other ways that you can make money from home remotely. So that way you're able to help bring in new revenue streams while you're going through this. And so this is in the part where I say, like, even if it's not something that you want to do right now, sometimes we have to do certain things. Like I went into bartending and waitressing. I didn't want to at that point, but I'm so grateful I did. And in the end, it helped me because that, like I said, that hotel became one of my marketing clients. It came full circle. It came full circle. All right. So there's freelancing. So freelance artists, you can be a designer, freelance video or photo editor. There's a lot of freelance opportunities out there. All right. And there's some freelance resources as a freelance artist. There's things out there. Can be a virtual assistant. There's a lot of people right now, especially those who are working from home now, who were maybe managers or directors or executives at their job, and they need more help now because they're trying to juggle keeping their business or their team afloat, but they're also, homeschooling their kids, and they got to take care of the house. Like now it's so much more, so they have to offload, the things that they need to do. Maybe it's simple things, like ordering food or whatever it is. There's a lot of people out there who have, discretionary income to still spend, who are, director and executive level, who need this help. All right. There's e-commerce. You can sell things online. You can sell what you already have. A lot of us are going through our stuff cleaning and realizing that we have all the shit, right? These things that we really don't need anymore or don't want. You can sell that online. There's network marketing. And, I actually believe that depending on which company you go to, there's some awesome network marketing opportunities out there. You have to do your own research, you due diligence to see who is in your upline and what kind of company it is. That's definitely something you need to do, but there's a lot of amazing opportunities because they already have the built-in infrastructure, and it's a lot of online selling. I have some friends who do very well with Isogenics, with doTERRA, with Monet, and it's all virtual, and they're able to do all that. So fine, and oftentimes you could be something you have a passion for. My friend who's like into beauty and hair and all that, Monet is a great fit for her because she uses all these products and talks about them all the time, so it's worked for her. There's affiliate marketing, selling other people's products or courses or things like that you believe in. There's Etsy and Society6, where if you are an artist, or if you make things, you're crafty, you can sell that online. Society6, your designs and drawings and things that you have, Society6 is a place where you can upload these designs and people can print them out on mugs, on prints, on sweatshirts, and all these things from your creative work, from your IP. You can sell, if you love photography and that was a hobby for you before, there's people that need photography online and you can sell it. Like Shutterstock, there's places where you can sell photography and people will buy it online because people are needing more content because more people are online. All right. And this is not an end all exhaustive list. This is just all the things that I was able to think of. So if you think of others, definitely share. All right. And let me know in the chat, is there something here that called out to you that you're like, oh, I didn't consider that before, that's actually something that I could look into? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, also let us know. All right. So lastly, collaboration and community, because this is so important. As I mentioned, if you really want to live in Thriver mindset, this is when we need to come together. So it's about sharing resources and connections. It's about bartering. Sometimes if we don't have the financial tools to buy something. Maybe it's barter because there's something that you have and that you're able to give. Another thing also for those who have like services, and another thing that you can offer is gift cards and gift certificates that people can redeem later on when this is all done. Because let me tell you, a lot of people are going to want to, once people can go outdoors, people are going to want to spend money. Whether it's getting their hair done because they hadn't gotten it done in a while, maybe it's nails, maybe it's eating at a restaurant, whatever it is, you know, so you can get that, whatever you have. Garden nanny. Yeah, I love that, Lourdes. And with that, you can practice social distancing. You don't have to be anywhere near people when you garden. You can just, you know, do the gardening for them, right? A virtual tour, exactly. Yeah, see all these amazing ideas. I know there's a lot of petitions out there to help people and get signatures. I know I've signed a few to go into our leaders. I've signed petitions to help my friends in beauty industry and hospitality, because our government before has bailed out banks, and you know, right now our small businesses and other people need that help as well. Supporting each other. Also buying products and services from small businesses. The other day, there's this local kind of farmer, it's not a farmer's market, it's one farm that they used to be part of a larger farmer's market, but that closed. So I found them on Instagram because I had loved getting their stuff before. And they're like, oh, we actually have like as many, it's not really a grocery store because it's smaller than that, but they have fresh produce, organic stuff. So I went there and they were so grateful. And they had like amazing produce, things that I could have bought at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods, which I still go to for things that I can't find anywhere else. But I was able to help them. They're like, thank you so much for shopping here. This really helps us. You know, I was able to buy ginger and garlic. Let me tell you, the last times I went to Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, I could not find good ginger or garlic. And now I have some fresh ginger or garlic because that's really antiviral and really helps. Lastly, promote each other's offerings. All right. So I want to speed this up because I want to make sure that I get to everyone's questions. So I really want to put this picture here to show that oftentimes we're looking at the top and getting so overwhelmed. But actually, the thing that you need to do first is just take that one step. Because if you always just focus on the top, at the peak, you're like, that's too far, I can't get there, or whatever it is, I can't go through it. Just focus on what you need to do next. What is one action step you need to do? One thing. You take one step and then another step and then another step. You know, don't look at the top, just take one step. So wherever it is you are in your life or business, when you pivot, just the one thing you need to do. And look at that list. Audit, ask, and agile. You don't have to do all three at once. Start with audit. Really, like I mentioned, audit your customers and yourself, and then ask them for feedback, ask them what they need as well, and then agile. Then when you have all the information, test and pivot, you know, and you'll get to something that'll work for you right now, whether it's for your business or if you're pivoting to do something like another side hustle to help yourself. There's always something out there. And remember, you can tap into your community. You don't have to do this alone. You know, as I mentioned, it's social distancing, which I actually really don't like that word. It's like physical distancing, but we don't have to, you know, distance ourselves from others. This is when we actually need to be more connected more than ever to help each other out. All right, I have some resources that I want to offer. I know that this is a time where we need more collaboration, more community. So I'm doing weekly events. Every Monday, starting this Monday, I'm actually hosting a live meditation. I'm a certified meditation pranayama teacher, and I incorporate, you know, all this to get our mind and our soul right. So if you are interested, I'm doing the first one, which is all about releasing feelings of anxiety, fear, and anxiety, fear, and stress. And then every Wednesday, I'm hosting a women supporting women virtual networking event. Monday and Wednesday, these are free. Okay, this is open to anyone and everyone. And in Women Supporting Women, we'll have, everyone come on and really share about themselves and something that they can give and receive. And then my last call, I actually had this amazing woman. He's like, my give is, I'm actually doing very well financially. And so I have like money that I want to Venmo to people who really need it, who like can't afford rent or can't afford food. Like how amazing is that? And this is the power of that community. And her receive was like, can you just let me know? I don't want to post this online, but if you know someone who really, really is in dire straits, let me know. And I can help them and send a Venmo. Like amazing, right? And if you really want more customized help in figuring out what you need to do for your business right now to launch your business online, to find out new revenue sources and want customized help, I'm doing this exclusive offer that I have not done before, like ever, because my coaching packages actually start at a 3-month minimum, but I'm doing one-off coaching sessions for 60 minutes for those who want customized help. Yes, I will send. Yep. So that is it. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to put this in the chat. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can. This is Monday. That's the meditation. That's the Wednesday supporting women, which is amazing because like I said, in that last one, I was so shocked and surprised. She was like, I have money. And I was like, that is so amazing. And I've actually Venmo'd a few people who needed some extra, who I knew couldn't like afford, actual food for their family. And this last one is for the coaching. So if you want, oops, I think. There you go. Does anyone have any questions? I know that we're running out of time, but I wanted to make sure. Oops. Oh, yeah, sorry. I was sending privately. Let me send it to everyone. All panelists. Okay, so does everyone see that now? That's Monday. That's for Wednesday. Yes, it says to all panelists. Okay, that's Wednesday. Do you guys see it? Perfect. And this is Monday meditation. And that is the coaching call. So if you want to take advantage of that, that is a one-off coaching session with me customized to really help you pivot in your business. Any other questions? So you guys can unmute. If you want to talk and ask questions, you can unmute yourselves. Is there a replay? Anna Marie, is there a replay? I think this is on YouTube. Yes, links will be emailed and there's a replay. What is your one action item? There was a lot of things that we covered. What is your one action item? What are you going to do to help pivot in your business? Or what resonated the most with you in this presentation? Like what really called to you and was like, yes, this is something that I have to do or follow through.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I was late, but I'm glad that I made it towards even, for the last portion of your presentation, but the collaboration that's been really powerful for me even before this COVID-19, because I was telling like yesterday that I have these three pillars right now, like cultivate, create, and collaborate. And whenever I feel like scattered, I just like go back there, and then I list now all the things that I need to do, but if they're not a priority and doesn't resonate back to those three pillars, then I put them at at the end of my to-do list. But the collab, I think my first step, one of my first step, I should say, yeah, like look at the potential, like collaborate to be able that will be able like to support what I'm trying to do,
Yeah.
and then reach out to them. That's my major takeaway for like, yeah, from what I've
Awesome.
heard.
Thank you so much, Lourdes. And like, this is a collaboration between me and Anna Marie, like this is an example of community and collaboration, like at play right now. Pat, you've been wanting to create an online course and ebook, and it was just so overwhelming. I totally get it, but focus on one because you can't do two simultaneously. So what right now calls to you the most, the online course or the ebook? And really, like, what would your audience, what would your ideal customer need the most? Do they want an online course? Is an ebook going to be something that would serve them better right now? So this is where that whole ask, the audit and ask really helps.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So in addition to that, I think the thing that's kind of held me back is also I've heard from people that when they created an online course or an ebook, they wish they had a following already. They wish that they were also doing social media and marketing so that they didn't just spring up on people like, okay, here I am now and purchase X, Y, and Z, versus they wish that they reached out to people ahead of time so that their community could grow with them. And so that's another piece that I think is paralyzing. Because I'm not an expert in that per se. I'm more a content expert and academic and research expert. But what's your take on that, Marian?
So I always pre-sell first. And what I mean by that is that, and I have a community, but if I woke up today in your shoes and didn't have a community, you already, and when you say you don't have it, you do. There's people just think about, there's your family, friends, colleagues, people online, there's Facebook groups. Start asking them. This is where that ask is. Ask, like, what would you need the most? And create from what they're asking, and start seeding it, because as you're creating your ebook, you can also simultaneously start talking to people. And you may not sell like 10 or 100 copies, but as long as you have one person, that's proof that there's one person that needs it. And if you can actually, that's a proof of concept there, that if one person will actually invest or buy or like work with you on giving a testimonial for that, then there's so many other people out there that need it. So this is your time so what I mean by pre-selling is putting something like, this is just a phrase, hey everyone, I'm working on can you give me a little bit more insight in like what the topic is? Pat, just so I can.
Yeah. Well, there's two things, one for me personally, and then one for the Filipino nonprofit organization that I'm part of. And so for me personally, I come from a higher ed academic background, and I just finished my dissertation, which focuses on Filipino Americans and our cuento as a community, as the students. And so I know there's something there that I could create. But I guess I doubt, some of those things of moving forward. So, our story as a community, I think that's really important, and, uplifting and elevating that. So that's kind of what I'm interested in.
Yeah. What if something, and this is just something that I thought of because I'm getting a lot of ideas already right now. What if it was like you put this post up, send an email, call people, talk, text, be like, hey, I know this is a time where, it's challenging for everyone. And I think the power of our cuentos, of our stories, will actually help us survive and thrive this. I'm thinking of putting together an ebook of my own stories, as well as stories from people in our community to help lift us up. Is this something you would be interested in, helping me promote and support? I mean, that's something that I would, And
That's excellent.
So you get the interest. This is where the ask is. And so you already know, and then keep a list of all those people that said, yes, I would love to, all that stuff. So when you create your ebook, be like, thank you so much here, ebook for $4.90, whatever you want to price it. This will, you had mentioned interest in this, and ebooks are usually lower price points. So people right now, actually, that's what they're investing in. And they want this right now. People want to learn. As I said, e-learning and ebooks fall under that. People want more of this. People are consuming books and educational materials now more than ever because they have so much time. So this is actually the perfect time for that. And your ebook can actually be a lead generator later on for your online course, which is going to be a little bit longer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And that's a really quick script that you can, pre-sell. And then you don't need like a large following. You just need the right type of people. Remember, it's quality over quantity. And Filipino people. I mean, look at the people on this call right now. You can tap into that. You can post online and you can ask your other Filipino friends and family to repost it, Rose, yes, you can unmute. Hi.
Hey, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for talking about the e-education.
Yeah.
I just remembered that about 2 years ago, I actually did a course with the band that I manage. So I manage a group of Filipino Americans that traveled around the world, and I just had to cancel 33 of their concerts because of this COVID-19. And so I was trying to figure out the best way for us to recoup some money for them because I was worried about them. But taking this workshop reminded me that we had this education platform that we can use to start promoting and helping them with that. So I just wanted to say thank you for reminding me that we have that. So I'm excited about it now.
Yeah. There's also I've seen a lot of like DJs and people do like live streams and like have like donation based, like if you love like our music and if you want to support us, like tell that story. Unfortunately, we had to cancel, but we still want to share our music. Maybe they can do a live, like a video set or
very cool.
Something like that. And then people can Venmo or pay a ticket, an online ticket price to go in, like.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? That way we can workshop. If anyone has, and there's no question that's like, you can't ask it, ask if there's anything that you're curious about or anything you want to like work through, this is the time now. Otherwise you'd have to sign up for coaching. But that's going to be really in depth and that's like a whole hour. Anyone else?
Yes, it's me again, Marian. So in terms of like your target audience, and of course we discussed, reaching out to my Filipino network. When does it become like a point where you pigeonhole yourself into a sector? How are you able to go from, one area and expand?
What do you mean? Like by just like the story for Filipinos?
Not only, yes, I mean, yes, that's important, right? And reaching out to our community. But like, for example, the work that you do, it spans across, age, gender, ethnic background. So in the work that people do that are very niche, and I've been hearing in our sessions, the riches are in the niches, it kind of is a little complex in that sense. It's like, yes, get into your niches, but then there's many of you who show a diverse background in reaching out to so many people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, my niche is women entrepreneurs. So I work with primarily women entrepreneurs between the ages of 25 to about 40, 45. So that is, and who are coaches, speakers, authors who have an online presence or want to have an online presence. So that is pretty niche. I actually, it's not as wide. But what you can do, because yours is still, I'm talking specifically about your ebook, since you said it's about Filipino stories. I was just talking specifically about that one. And then after this, you can definitely expand. But this was sort of like more tactical for what you needed for this ebook right now. So later on, if you want to expand it to stories from, you know, immigrant families or people like that, you can. This is just kind of right now.
I understand that it's like the first step, like you said, when you're on top of the pyramid, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Kim, any suggestions on what step to take next, choosing from so many possibilities? Yeah, so figure out where are you in the A's, and always start. What do you need to audit first? You need to audit your business and your customers, your clients. Do you want to unmute so that we can kind of talk through it? That way I know a little bit more. Maybe I can help you a little bit more specifically. Cam, you want to unmute?
Oh, hi. Sorry. Let me see. I think I'm okay. I think I'm good. That was yeah. There's so much material here. I feel like I just need to review and reprocess and kind of sit in what steps to take next.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like don't look at the very top because that can get overwhelming. Look at the first A. So remember, there's audit, ask, and agile. Don't do the other two if you haven't done the audit yet. That is the very first thing. So you need to take inventory of what's going on right now in your space, in your industry, in your business, for your own business and yourself, and then your clients and customers. After that, then you move on to the next one. But unless you take that inventory first, that's the very first step.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Lourdes has a question on bartering. What's your question?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. So my business is Masagana Flower Farm and Studio. So I live in Manitoba, short growing season. I've always wanted to touch on the bartering, but I just don't know how to navigate it. So my idea is I just launched my website and I've been invited. I have a few subscribers, but I want to widen my network. But I'm thinking of for people signing up for my newsletter, they'll get a free, just like one page, the content of my gardening 101 workshop. The way I do my workshop is I answer the 5 W's and how of gardening. So there is a Filipino illustrator that I met like 2 weeks ago, and she's still like navigating her, like, what would be where would she focus on, I think, in terms of market. But I wanna, yeah, and so I wanna barter collaborate with her to maybe like work on me on yeah, on doing the illustration like for my 5 W's and how of gardening. I think my question is, how do I is there a copyright, because I want to honor her talent, and then I don't want to shortchange her, or what can I barter with her, I guess should be my question.
Ask her. Maybe there's something that you haven't even thought of. This is the whole ask thing. Ask her, what is it that you need right now? Maybe it's not like a direct, maybe it's a connection. You can introduce her to someone that she needs. This is why that ask is so important. So get on the phone, get on a call like this and figure out what is it that you need right now? How can I assist you? If I can't assist you directly, maybe there's an introduction. Yeah. Whatever it is, there's so many different ways.
Oh, thank for saying that, because that's actually a light bulb for me, because I think that what's hindering me approaching people that I think would be a good person to collab with is because I never do the asking, what can I do for you?
Yeah,
because I'm always like thinking.
Hey,
before
I'm so sorry, you guys. We have another.
We have another.
We have another panel
Okay.
actually happening right now, so we have to end this call. But please feel free to reach out to Marian, and we're also going to have this available on YouTube, and I'll share the links with everybody. So thank you, everybody. I have to cut this off.
That's my email. Feel free to email me or on Instagram at Bacol-Uba. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.